Champions League next season for Newcastle. One more win and they'll be in with a real shout of finishing second.
Do you know, as you look at all the teams, away from Liverpool, apart from that, and Arsenal to some degree, the battle below that is phenomenal, and this is the heart of it today. And I think really Newcastle, they're desperate to get this little bit of a lead.
There goes the whistle from Jared Gillett, the referee. It's Newcastle who kick off in their white shirts with the green trim and the white socks. The what is often referred to as the Saudi Arabian-like colours. And Aston Villa in the claret and blue shirts on their first attack of the game. Ollie Watkins back on the team, can't reach this. Sandro Tonali's able to tidy up, take the ball into the right back area and play it away. So you'll gather from that, Watkins in the team, Asensio as well. Here is Watkins, early shot, deflected in! Nick Pope completely wrong-footed. Just over 30 seconds on the clock and Aston Villa have scored. We thought there'd be goals in this, maybe not this early. It's Ollie Watkins, it's Villa 1, Newcastle 0.
It took an incredible deflection at Newcastle, because they're claiming that he's come from an offside position. It will be tight, but they're walking up. The referee's going towards the penalty spot. But what a start they made. They were in trouble even before the goal in the very first seconds. Tonali, as you explained, he covered, he cleared it up, but he wasn't able to get the ball away. And if you don't get the ball away, Watkins will make the best of it. And Tonali was the one who played him onside there. That goal stand.
Yes, Tonali who came back onto the pitch in the right back area. So that meant Watkins was onside, and the shot, I think it was Fabian Schär that it came off, it was, who sort of got his feet together, but it completely wrong-footed Nick Pope, who was moving to his left, and the ball actually just dropped gently into the bottom left corner as Watkins looked at it. So Fabian Schär, who scored twice here last season for Newcastle, has deflected that ball into his own net. It will be Watkins' goal. Not even had a chance to run you through the teams in full yet, and already Ollie Watkins back in the team has got his 16th goal of the season, 15 in the Premier League, and what a start for Aston Villa after the ultimate disappointment of going out of the Champions League here on Tuesday night.
Well, if you're ever asking the question, is there going to be any sort of hangover? Well, not at the moment, at the start of this game. But you know what, didn't expect a 0-0, expected this to be open, expected to be goals. And here's Livramento.
Crossing into the penalty area from the left-hand side, but that was blocked away by Aston Villa, who've been able to get it away. And Villa, Ollie Watkins scoring that goal at the same end where John McGinn and Ezri Konsa scored their goals the other night in front of the North Stand. So an early setback for bang in form Newcastle. Well, they're both in form, aren't they? But Newcastle coming into this having won their last 6 matches in all competitions. Here's Murphy on the right with his cross, but it comes off the shins of Maatsen and deflect behind for a corner. Before Newcastle take it, the Villa team then 4 changes from Tuesday. Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Mings and Maatsen. So changes there, Mings and Maatsen coming in. Pau Torres is not in the 20 actually today. Then in midfield, Tielemans and Camara. Then Rodgers, Asensio, McGinn and Watkins. So Rashford is on the bench for this one. And Newcastle unchanged. 7th match in a row they've named the same team. Pope, Trippier, Schär, Byrne and Livramento. Guimaraes, Tonali and Joe Linton. Murphy, Isak and Barnes. Corner is taken short by Newcastle to Livramento by Murphy. Back to Murphy. Murphy's cross takes a flick off a Newcastle head. Barnes at the back post. His shot deflected up into the air. Villa half clear it away. And then back come Newcastle again. Isak with a shot from the angle. And that bounces away behind for... Well, I thought it might be a corner, but actually the offside flag's up in there. And it's a free kick to Newcastle with Villa already 1-0 up. Pat Nevin.
The amount of people we talked to before the game in the press room beforehand, saying, look, this has got to be a cracker, it's got to be open, there's got to be goals. And 1 or 2 people were naysayers saying, yeah, but you never know the ones you look forward to. But you just can't see this being dull. Well, it started absolutely brilliantly. And Newcastle, oddly enough, do not look affected by it. They went right on the attack. And intriguing to see, the first thing they did is they tried to get the ball out to Murphy. That Murphy against Maatsen one there on the right-hand side for Newcastle will be very, very big today, I think.
So Martinez to take this free kick. Villa That's just the start they would have wanted. And here is Ollie Watkins now getting the ball down to the edge of the area. He goes, left foot shot, hits the crossbar and bounces away. Hit with venom by Ollie Watkins' left foot, and it crashed against almost exactly the point where the bar and the post intersect, and it flew away at a crazy angle right out to the far side. And Newcastle were able to get it away. So close, Pat, to 2-0.
You know, we're listening to some of the games coming in this afternoon, and you wonder if teams are really going to go for it. You know, take a chance, try and go by players. Every attack that's happened in this game so far, it looked as if it would at the very least be a shot on target, but possibly a goal. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Can they keep this pace up? I suspect they can.
Yes, I have a feeling they can as well. They've got plenty of motivation. This season is far from over with that exit from the Champions League on Tuesday night. This time next week, Pat, I'll be commentating on them in an FA Cup semi-final, and they've not won that great trophy since 1957. And, you know, the motivation is all too clear after the events of Tuesday, the 12 matches that they've played in the Champions League this season. Everyone here in claret and blue, and indeed black and white, wants to be in that great competition next season.
And it's, I mean, it feels like cup finals as well, and certainly even both managers, well, Eddie Howe, of course, get well soon, Eddie, but they all feel that every one of these games feels like cup finals themselves. And I know it's a terrible old cliche, but there's a reason for the cliches like that. It feels like it, and that's the reaction you're getting for these fans around here, and the players as well. They've all started off at a great pace.
Yes, Unai Emery said in his match programme notes today, he said the energy that came from the stands on Tuesday was like a nuclear power plant. And he also said, we are angry. And
he was angry still in his notes, actually. He was trying to keep his cool slightly, but he was very unhappy with the refereeing, I believe.
Well, from the Newcastle match, actually, he was referring to the Newcastle match, when, if you remember, John Duran was sent off at St James's Park. There was a right conflagration at half-time. Both clubs ended up being fined, and he says today, Unai Emery, I hope the referee has a good match with fair decisions for both teams. Here's Trippier on the right-hand side for Newcastle. Byrne leaves that for Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes now curls one into the Villa area, but that's headed away by Konza, and it comes out and is taken down by Morgan Rogers on the edge of his own penalty area, passing it along the edge of the box. Yuri Tielemans is there. He started the comeback, Tielemans, with that deflected goal that he scored here on Tuesday against the French champions. That's a lovely cut back in centre field. Excellent play from Morgan Rogers. Then Maatsen tries to take it on, but Newcastle are there in numbers, that Newcastle midfield. Joe Linton turns. He's blatantly pulled back by camera in the centre circle. That's a free kick to Newcastle. I have to say, I thought Jared Gillett might have reached for a card for that, but he hasn't.
No big complaints from anybody, but I felt the same as you. I mean, it's, if you drag a player back, but if you do it with both arms, no big complaint from Joe Linton, who was pulled back there, but I think the referees just walked past him there and said to Kamara, yep, got away with that one, but you ain't getting away with another one. But the pace of that in the midfield there, that just nobody can get on the ball there for any amount of time because everything's been closed down so quickly.
So free kick to Newcastle. Trippier takes this. It's a high one, and let me tell you, I said the wind is whipping around. It's actually a really blustery day, and anything aerial. I mean, well, here we are. Here's an example as Trippier plays it forward, and the wind caught that ball, almost pulled it up in the air, and in the end it dropped down for Villa to clear middle of their own half. John McGinn takes it up the left-hand side here, and then turns and plays it back into his own half. So the four changes. Rashford's on the bench for this, after, I felt, like many, surprisingly substituted in the latter stages on Tuesday. And Nana on the bench, Digne on the bench, and Pau Torres not involved at all. Here's Bruno Guimaraes for Newcastle, the captain, the Carabao Cup winning captain of the team that day at Wembley. Oh, lovely run from Jacob Murphy, infield to Bruno Guimaraes, just outside the area, overhits the ball through. Isak won't reach that, and behind them in our eye line in the Holt end, a relieved Chia goal kick.
I think watching Murphy there, I mean, the form he's been always been phenomenal recently. Obviously the goals he's been scoring, but also the creation and going by players. However, every time he's got the ball so far, Isak has run right into his line and killed all the space he's got. Now, we know Isak's a fantastic player and he can pick the ball up anywhere, But if you're Murphy's just now, you're saying, get out of my way. Let me have a one-on-one with Maatson.
So this is the Premier League on 5 Live from the BBC Sounds as well if you're on the move on this spring-like evening. Bit of a chill in the air too as Dan Burn goes in on the challenge, but referee waves the advantage. McGinn chips it into the box, Pope comes, and then he is firmly challenged by Asensio. The free kick is given for the Newcastle goalkeeper, and Morgan Rogers is saying to the referee, he's walking with him, and he's saying to referee Gillett, what about that challenge from Dan Burn on me? 25 yards out, but I guess the referee's saying that he played the advantage, and there's also another Villa man down as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I was surprised the referee allowed that to go on. Watkins, I think he got his head stood on there. I don't think it was deliberate. Certainly didn't look it to me. But Matt, was trying to see who was beside him. Yeah, his head was really stood on.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised that the referee allowed that to go on, because he was clearly holding his head. And this is
VAR, look at that.
I don't actually think it is deliberate. I mean, we're having a look at the little clash between the goalkeeper. That's secondary. That's not the big problem. The big problem is Trippy. No, he's not deliberately done that. That's the way he's...
That's interesting, isn't it? The angle.
Yeah,
the angle of that. From one angle, that did not look good. From another angle, looked totally different.
And that's why I often get so furious at players feigning head injuries, because the referees let that play on there, because he probably thought it's one of those feigned head injuries for a moment. It wasn't. That could be incredibly ugly. Happily, Watkins is back up and he's okay then.
And remember, in that match in December at St James's Park, if you remember the incident, John Duran was sent off for stepping on Fabian Schär.
Well remembered, John.
Well, I have to say I did look it up yesterday. Aston Villa leading Newcastle by 1-0. A choice of listening right now, by the way, the Women's Six Nations match with England romping it against Scotland is on Sports Extra. You can also watch that on BBC Two. England are 42-0 up, and in the Premiership as well, in what is a 5:30 kickoff like this, it is Saracens 5, Gloucester 7, and sun coming brightly out again as Joe Linton puts his shoulder into the back of camera, who drops to the ground and wins a free kick in the centre circle. So already for Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins scoring in the first minute with that deflected shot, having scored the opening goal at Southampton last weekend, and then very promptly, within a couple of minutes, struck a shot that hit the angle of post and bar and stayed out. So strong start from Villa, which I'm sure is just what Unai Emery will have demanded from this match, and I can tell you he was angry sitting in this very seat on Tuesday night as he marched along the touchline and kicked that drink can over. You know, he had the look of an angry man, and they are very much channeling that at the moment as Villa attacking towards the north stand, and then Schär and Watkins are shoulder to shoulder. Watkins goes down, free kick is given, and that's a yellow card for Schär.
No, a definite yellow card. He was never going to get on to it, or it would have been a red card. However, Newcastle United look awful at the back just now. We're right in a line with their back line. They're pushing up too high, they're going man to man. They ain't got the pace to do this against Aston Villa. Classically, if you give midfielders time on the ball to pick out a pass, which they have done time and again already in this game, don't play a high line. They have played a high line, they've lost a goal, they've lost another chance, they could have had a man sent off.
Interesting one that wasn't far away from being a red card. Yeah, as Konza played it from the halfway line over the top and to the right of Schär and Watkins, and Schär was tugging on the arm of Watkins.
Only because look, had the ball been a little bit softer and the referee thought he could have got onto it instead of going straight through the keeper, yeah, I think it's a definite red card.
He was dicing.
Yes, it was tight, but to be honest, I think the referee's got that one absolutely right there. But just the way Newcastle play, now they're very brave at the moment and they are going man for man a lot of the time. But for the fact that Dan Burn's been brilliant recently, and Schär as well has had a great time, for pure pace, they ain't got it against Ollie Watkins. They're not going to catch him if he gets away.
Newcastle 6 wins in a row coming into this, and free kick for Villa.
But look who's on the line.
Very interestingly, even though this is 30 yards, more than 30 yards out, John McGinn is standing on the goal line with Nick Pope, and then he runs away now. Tielemans dinks it over the top, it's missed, Cash is under this, shoots across goal, and it's pushed behind at the near post by Nick Pope for a Villa corner.
And you want to know why, don't you? Well, John McGinn's going on the line there, so everyone is watching John McGinn. he runs out towards the left and everyone looks at him. Where did they play the ball? Right.
To the right.
Exactly.
How cunning.
Very cunning. I sometimes think they overthink it, but to be honest, it nearly worked and they got a corner out of it.
Some would say that's the set-piece coach drawing attention to himself. However, it nearly worked.
Couldn't possibly
Nearly
suggest
worked.
that.
McGinn plays that to the corner of the penalty area. Tielemans back to McGinn, then into the box where Asensio tries to find some space, does actually do that, and then plays it back to Camera, who's going to have a shot that's deflected as well off a Newcastle leg up and over the top. Joe Linton, I think it was. It's struck. Yep, he's getting the low fives for doing the job. So deflected up and over the top corner from the left-hand side this time.
Of course, if you're the goalkeeper, Pope, you're looking, oh please not deflection again. They've already been beaten by one, but they have kept up, haven't they, Aston Villa? A couple of good attacks by Newcastle, but they are getting pinned back more and more just now. And you just get the feeling if Villa could get a second goal, it's going to be really tough for the team to get back in.
Villa not lost here since October. Asensio, short corner. Asensio's cross, that's blocked up in the air, headed away by Murphy, and then Maatsen has a go, and it wasn't as close as his final effort on Tuesday that was blocked inside the box by Pacho, I think it was, from memory, right in the closing stages, the closest that Villa got to the equalising fourth goal on the night. So 1-0 they lead here. Maatsen with that effort, goal kick to Newcastle, and Pope has the options there of Byrne to his right and to his left and Share to his right, but actually they say to Nick Pope, no, come on, you can strike that long downfield, which he does. Camera gets up high above Joe Linton, heads it forward for Villa, then Camera in on the challenge on Livramento, and referee Gillett says that was an illegal challenge, and he's fouled Livramento, who's on the ground clutching his leg, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Yep, that's another one that, another part of the game, we might have been tempted to go for his yellow card there, but it's just the pace of the way the game's been played just now, and having watched it second time here, Livramento puts his foot in the area there, and do you know what? At a push, I would say Livramento fouled. It's got a foul out of it.
Free kick given Newcastle's way, however. Trippier to take this. So the home side, Unai Emery's team 1-0 up. He's in discussions with Austin McPhee, the set-piece coach, as Trippier takes this one for Newcastle, headed away on the edge of the box. The possession is taken up by Harvey Barnes, still keeping Anthony Gordon out of the side, and why not in his goal-scoring form, and Barnes puts it into the back post, and it's headed down and in by Share, and it's 1-1. Share, who scored 2 goals here last season, already today he's deflected one past his own goalkeeper. Now he's in the action again, and it's 1-1. Barnes with a cross, Share with a back post header from close range. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 1.
I mean, phenomenal for Share. It's a really tight angle there. There's very little space. He's nodding it down with pace, so a difficult one for the goalkeeper to get on the end of there. But the quality of the ball, that's what it's all about there. It's played out to the left-hand side. And Barnes, he just cuts in, and he doesn't wait any time, and he whips it into a really dangerous area. They're going to look for offside, but I do not think that's offside. And I have a suspicion it's going through Martinez's legs, which is what the goalkeepers hate.
Yeah, it was right at the back post, and he was only, 2 or 3 yards away from him. But Martinez, the goalkeeper, jumped for it, and you're right, Pat, it's down into the ground, up, deflected off him, through his legs, into the net.
I mean, it won't make him feel any happier, no, but I thought first he'd been beaten at his near post, but through the legs, there's nothing you can do from that sort of angle, so not surprised that this game has already provided goals and thrills and spells already. There's plenty more to come, but at the moment, Villa will be gutted.
Here they come, Maatsen now for Villa, back at Newcastle, the cross, oh, that's missed by Asensio, turned back by Rodgers, but the ball was already out before Rodgers turned it back. That was a chance for Asensio, 6 yards out.
Every time they attack with pace, it doesn't matter if it's right or left or centre, Villa seem to be getting beyond that back line with such ease. Now, that must be a real concern for Newcastle, but they're so positive at the moment, Newcastle. They're leaving it man for man at the back, taking a chance. As we were watching just now, they've got a goal kick, Newcastle. They've got 4 men up the park. There's nobody in midfield at all. It's a very, very positive way that Newcastle are playing just now. And it just makes for exciting games of football.
That was the chance. He miskicked it.
Yep.
Asensio.
It was coming at pace at him, but he does arrive really well in that sort of area, Asensio. I mean, not unlike to John McGinn when he's playing slightly more centrally as well, but that was a brilliant chance there, and you've got to really get that on target with pace.
Well, Pat, we've had less than 20 minutes. It is 1-1. It could be
3-2 maybe.
3-2,
Yes.
potentially.
With a man sent off.
Yes. But we've got the full complement still on the field, and only 2 goals so far. That's Pat Nevin with us, former Chelsea, Everton and Scotland winger, author,
Just
raconteur, so, bike rider. You were on the charity bike ride last weekend, weren't you?
Somebody told me 50 kilometres was a lot. It's not.
Well, I can tell you Dion Dublin was also doing a leg of that, and he was feeling it the other night.
He's got a wee bit more weight to carry.
Well,
not around the girth. I mean, tons.
Yes. As Villa played up to Asensio, wins a free kick, still inside his own half, passes it forward to Rodgers. Dion's on match of the day tonight, by the way. Rodgers ball down the line. This is for Asensio to run onto. First time cross. That's cleared away from near the penalty spot by Cher. And now McGinn takes it on again. Dangerous looking cross, but Pope's off his line quickly to catch it.
It shouldn't be that easy to get beyond fullbacks. And it is. It's time and time again. Left hand side out. First Asensio, then it was McGinn. Just goes beyond Trippier. It's not just Trippier. Cher as well comes out, goes beyond him as well. I mean, it is good technical play there by Villa because they've got players running from deep. It's just too easy to get beyond that Newcastle defence.
Going back to the Newcastle equaliser, Emi Martinez, he'll be disappointed, won't he, that it's beaten him, that header. But it was so close as Barnes is taken down by Cash on the halfway line as he was trying to spin in field. So that's a free kick to Newcastle. But I think Cher was so close with the header that might have saved it. In fact, it ended up going under him.
I think, it'd be disappointing because keepers get disappointed when they lose a goal. I wouldn't be blaming him, though.
No.
And I think the Goalkeepers Union will be having a wee word with you if you want to blame him for that. It was just too close. No. He had no time to react.
No, absolutely not. As Murphy has it on the right-hand side, Jacob Murphy in this hot run of form, but overhits that pass through for Guimaraes. And it rolls harmlessly over the white line for Martinez to pick up and take the goal kick. So the score is 1-1. If you've just got back into your car or just switched on, having missed everything today, we've already brought you today commentary on the first leg of the Women's Champions League semi-final, which was won by Lyon. Exciting match, though. Arsenal 1, Lyon 2. Then we brought you commentary on Everton 0, Manchester City 2, with O'Reilly and Kovacic scoring the late goals. Also, in the 3 o'clock matches, finished Brentford 4, Brighton 2, Crystal Palace 0, Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1, Southampton 1, and Aberdeen are through to the Scottish Cup final after a late winner, almost at the end of extra time. Aberdeen winning 2-1 against Hearts, who played much of the match with 10 men. Here's Mings for Aston Villa, but we'll round everything up for you and bring you more reaction at half-time in this match. But it's all action here, and the ball with Villa inside their own penalty area. Aston Villa unbeaten in 18 matches here in all competitions at Villa Park since October, the longest run that they've had, unbeaten at home since 1991, as Bruno Guimaraes is conceding a foul all over the back of Tielemans, just 3 or 4 yards outside the Villa box. Free kick to Villa.
Yes, getting a little bit frustrated. When you look at recently watching Joe Linton play in the midfield there with Bruno and alongside Tonali as well, they have been a fantastic unit recently. Times in the past, they didn't gel right at the start with those three. They worked well, but not together as a unit. Recently they've been fantastic as a unit, and at the moment in this game so far, they've kind of been passed by. The midfield battle so far has been won by the nippier and sharper players that Aston Villa have got in there.
England have extended their lead over Scotland in the Women's Six Nations to 47-0. Commentary on Sports Extra. And Martinez now after the Villa free kick. It's 1-1 here. Long one downfield. Dan Burn of Newcastle United and England gets up to head the ball out of play. Throw-in taken by Villa back into their own half to Konza, who had a very good chance to get a second goal the other night but didn't take it. Tielemans now through the middle, stabs it to Watkins on the edge of the box. Watkins to his right, Cash is there joining the attack. Left-footed across the box, but Pope's able to just take a little hop into the air and catch that easily above his head.
But really nice play. It's smooth. And players running for each other. Players, third man runs all over the place. All sorts of options there. And they made every decision right until the final decision. He goes down the right-hand side there, cuts back. He's got to whip that in. He dollies it into the middle, and it's far too easy for Pope.
Yeah, Nick Pope, who is 33 today. Happy birthday, Nick Pope. What more could he have wanted on his birthday was to have a shot deflected past him that he could do nothing about after 32 seconds.
Just underline that this goalkeeper's 33. They have a different age from the rest of us. Listening to Hearts today.
Like dogs.
No, exactly. Dogs and other players. I was thinking that because Craig Gordon, 42 today in goal for Hearts in the semi-final in Scotland.
Nick Pope is an absolute baby compared to Craig Gordon. As Tielemans has the ball forward of the centre circle, and Maatsen then back towards the halfway line. So I didn't hear that. It was Craig Gordon's birthday today as well.
I don't know if it was today, but he is 42.
Camera playing the ball through. Then Asensio, now to Maatsen on the left-hand side. Maatsen has got Asensio there. He flicks it back to him. Then a nutmeg on Bruno Guimaraes, who runs away with his hands in the air, as if to say, I didn't block him, but the referee's given it as a free kick.
I mean, it's hard to tell the pace it happened, but I'm with Bruno on that one. He's gone there, he's held his position. I don't think he's kicked out. I mean, I'm willing to put my hand up and admit a mistake if I've got that wrong, if we see a replay here. But he was
nutmegged initially, wasn't
he? Was nutmegged, yeah, but did he kick? You could argue both ways there. There's a coming together of feet. Here's a better angle. No, I don't think Guimaraes done anything wrong. I'd stick with my initial suggestion there.
Free kick though to Villa, and Asensio just pulls up the bottom of the front of his claret-bodied shirt and rubs his face, and again McGinn near the goalkeeper, and then runs away to the far side of the penalty area. Free kick from the left, Asensio in, headed in by Watkins, hits the post, comes back to Watkins, his shot is then blocked. Watson's already hit the post with a shot, now he's put a header against the post. He could have had a hat-trick already in the match. Villa continue to put pressure on Newcastle. It's back to Cash, and then across to Camera, just forward of the centre circle. That header from 12 yards out, something like that.
I don't think the keeper moved a muscle.
Smacked the upright. Still Villa. Shot from Asensio, miss hit. Blocked inside the box. Watkins working again, and then the ball runs away and is cleared away downfield. And Camera's got to be careful here against Isak. And Isak almost got away from him, but Camera on the ground stuck out an almost telescopic-like leg to put the ball out of play.
We just look how much more difficult it is for Isak to get on the ball at the moment compared to Watkins. Watkins is making runs. There's a gaps inside him. He's been left 1-on-1 time and again. That's not happened with Isak. Isak's always got two players around him, close to him, giving him no time at all.
And Ollie Watkins, who has been named as a substitute for the last 3 matches, come on as a sub in all of them, has got his place in the starting lineup. Rashford on the bench today, and Watkins with maybe there's a little bit of anger there from Ollie Watkins in his performance so far.
And add on top of that, it's not just the goal and the 2 chances there. His all-round play has been superb. You know, he's making so many brilliant runs. He's not always getting the ball, but he just continually makes them. But that's always the way with Ollie Watkins. Very selfish and selfless in his attitude.
Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle. The score is 1-1. Villa have been the better team. Joe Linton though for Newcastle. Livramento to the byline. Cash comes across, just steps into the ball and puts it behind for a Newcastle corner from the left flank.
They somehow have to get that going. Expecting a little bit more from Murphy. It's not happening on the right hand side, but the understanding between Livramento and Barnes on the left hand side for Newcastle has been exceptional recently. Seen very little of it apart from the goal that they scored at the back post, which obviously came from the Barnes cross in there. But Livramento, he flies forward. He's a fabulous player at the moment.
Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 1. Trippier to take this corner underneath where the control boxes are at Villa Park. Tonali back to Trippier, into the back post. Rodgers got there first with the header. It bounces down and behind Bruno Gimreich was there, so was Maatsen, and the assistant away over to our right says goal kick.
Do you know, it's pretty clear what they're trying to do there. I mean, look at the power and the physique you've got in Newcastle, and they're not putting those corners into the box, which is kind of odd though. But what they're trying to do, they're trying to get Maatsen on his own at the back post. He's not the tallest for a left back, and they're trying to put the ball in there once they've dragged other players away. They've tried it a couple of times now and have scored one goal from it.
Yep, 1-1. Villa will feel that they should be ahead in this match. As I say, the shot from Watkins that hit the angle of post and bar, the header against the post, but all square thanks to Scher's equaliser. Fabian Scher, his 6th goal of the season, which is a new Newcastle personal best for him. It's not bad, is it? 6 goals as central defender. Here he is in possession now, the Swiss international, former Swiss international as he is now, as Bruno Gimreich gives it back to Scher, who passes it square across the box to Pope, and then Pope out to Byrne, and then Byrne quickly forward to Livramento, playing as the left back currently, with Hall out with his injury, and Livramento takes it on and away down the left hand side. Livramento's still going, and Camara is able to keep pace with him, and as he looked across, blocked it away behind. Excellent counter-attack from Newcastle to win the corner. I
mean, his pace is exceptional, Livramento, but it's the understanding he's got with Barnes, because when he gives Barnes the ball, Barnes knows he's not going to stop. Barnes knows he is going to fly. It might be outside, it might be inside, and when he does get into that position with a one-on-one with just about any player, very few can stay with Livramento, though. He's been really dangerous already in this game, 2 or 3 times up that left-hand side.
Half an hour played, just over, and so far it's lived up to expectations.
Certainly has.
Corner for Newcastle. Trippier will be the right-footed in swinger to the near post, right down the proverbial throat of Martinez, and the Villa goalkeeper can catch it quite easily and then launch this one downfield, and Trippier's out of position, and Watkins is onto this, and Watkins cuts into the area and plays it to the near post, where Tonali sweeps it behind as McGinn arrived on the scene. I think McGinn caught Tonali, and then very helpfully the Villa captain actually picks Tonali up and puts him on his feet.
I think that's John McGinn saying, "I never touched you, get up." So I mean he has to go for that, John McGinn there. It's a 50-50 one, and that is not a foul by John McGinn.
But it's a corner for Aston Villa. What an excellent pass that was from Martinez. I think he used the wind there, didn't he?
Wind and a bit of backspin as well.
Wind and backspin. It's like Rory McIlroy all over again. Tielemans takes this corner shot to McGinn. McGinn turns the full 360 degrees and then crosses into Murphy. Close quarters, blocks it behind.
I love that McGinn turn there. Do you know that it's a different from his normal one? That's the one Messi did that in the semi-final of the World Cup, and Argentina got a goal out of it, and it was exactly the same turn that McGinn done.
It was like he was on casters. Tielemans plays this into the 6-yard box, the corner, but that's headed away by Joe Linton. Comes out to Camara, and now Tielemans. Oh, that's a teaser from Tielemans, but it's headed away across the penalty area by Scher. And actually Newcastle bring it forward with Tonali. Tonali, who's getting rave reviews from Newcastle United supporters for his play this season after coming back early on in the campaign after his 10-month suspension for breaking the Italian betting rules. And now Murphy on the right-hand side, deep cross from him. That's headed up and away by Cash, hasn't cleared the penalty area. Isak, who peeled away out to the left-hand side, the tall Swede, is now in possession, playing it back to Tonali, who shoots low. Martinez has to go down to his left. That was a tester. It was bouncing awkwardly. I don't know whether it might even have taken a little deflection, but Martinez had to sort of bundle it wide as he died to his left.
It was a wee bobbler, wasn't it? You don't see many of them. Didn't seem to catch it absolutely clean, but keepers hate that. It's coming through a whole bunch of bodies. It is sneaking in at the back post there. Didn't have a huge amount of power in it, but it's one of those ones the keepers panic a little bit because it's bobbling, and they expect it could just jump over their hands. Didn't do it on that occasion, but it's a corner kick to Newcastle. We'll see if they took this one in.
So, corner to Newcastle. I can tell you that Formula One qualifying is now underway in Saudi Arabia, and you can hear commentary on that on the BBC Sport website. Corner to Newcastle to the near post. Byrne is there to get his head to it, but Watkins was with him, and I think that he did enough there. Watkins just leaned into Dan Byrne who headed it well wide by 4 or 5 yards. So it is a goal kick, and it remains 1-1. 5 Live from the BBC. All of tomorrow's Premier League matches, we're providing commentary either on 5 Live, on Sports Extra, or on the website, but we'll have all of the top sport covered during the course of the day, of course. And on 5 Live, it's Ipswich, Arsenal, then Leicester, Liverpool. And Trippier playing the ball forward for Newcastle to Isak, Newcastle's top scorer, the 25-goal Isak, into the edge of the penalty area, went round one challenge from Tielemans, but Maatsen was there, and the ball bounced back onto Isak as he tried to take him on and through for a goal kick. Pat Nevin.
It would be the one complaint about Isak. We know how brilliant a player he is. You know, he's a great scorer. He holds the ball up great when he can, but when he's getting slightly dominated, he just goes wider and deeper. Now, I understand you want to do that, you want to get involved in the game, but it's killing space for other players. Lovely little dummy there, but by the time he's got that ball under control and gets beyond Tielemans, he's got 3 players all close to him, all closing him down, all making it incredibly difficult for him.
Villa playing it out from the back. They took the lead early in the first minute after 32 seconds when Ollie Watkins' deflected shot ended up in the back of the Newcastle net, but Shares equaliser with a header. Here's Livramento up towards the corner of the box. He's looking for Barnes to his left. Barnes now up against Cash. Camera's there as well. Barnes back to Joe Linton. Joe Linton into the D. Bruno Guimaraes back to Tonali, and the Italian now plays it to Kieran Trippier. Murphy looks to cross, but sliding in there to block it excellently and very effectively was Maatsen, and Maatsen quickly up on his feet as Villa look to bring it away. Good game this. Tielemans now to Camera's hair's being blown in all directions as he passes it forward to Rodgers. Rodgers into the box on the left, shoots, and Pope is able to make a routine save, close enough to him, dropping down to his left, parried it round his right post.
It's amazing how many players are trying that shot now. We've already seen it earlier in the game there, where Watkins, goes for the near post, smashes it with power. Newcastle have scored 2 goals exactly like that recently. Tonali scored one, there was one the other night as well. I think it might have been Murphy, smashed it in at near post into the roof of the net. It's one of those ones you're supposed to put it for a cross, but when one player scores one of them, you just see other players having a go at it. That time, keeper spotted it.
Yeah, it was an excellent finish, wasn't it, by Tonali last weekend? Well, you were there, weren't you?
Fluke.
Corner. Tielemans into the near post. Oh, Pope blocks it. Livramento jumped for it, didn't get any contact on it, and I think that actually was just as well Pope was there for Newcastle, and body in the right place. Villa win the ball back on the halfway line.
I think that hits Pope's thighs. I don't think he gets any hands on that at all. He expected the head away in near post. I think it was, as you say, Livramento, no head, almost ducked in it, and that just left the keeper with no hope to react to it, and it just hit off his thighs, went away. A little bit lucky again there, Newcastle.
Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 1. Looking down to my right, Jason Tindall again, very casually dressed, tracksuit interim manager. It's a white hooded top, black tracksuit bottoms, with Eddie Howe missing a 3rd match. Bruno Guimaraes,
I'd book him for that. Gimenez
went flying down. Villa,
he was just looking for a free kick.
Yeah, Villa have got the ball back though. Might come back to him there, referee Gillett. But Villa, middle of the Newcastle half, just down in front of us as they attack towards the north stand, which has vivid red and white adverts flashing up on all of the various advertising hoardings right now. Tielemans back to Maatsen, and now to Rodgers. Rodgers all at close quarter. Newcastle have got everyone apart from Isak back behind the ball. Villa just keeping possession of it. Maatsen now. Maatsen on the left wing. Back infield to Tielemans, who thought about the ball into the box. Again, Maatsen coming in for Digne today. Maatsen at left back, then works it back up the line, and that's blocked out of play by Bruno Guimaraes.
It's not happened often in this game, has it, where one team sat deep and they've passed around and passed around. It's really been up and down the pitch, but at the moment, real control of this midfield and final third by Villa.
We'll have news on the qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at half-time, but as I say, that's on the website now. Tielemans goes for a long pass that Cash won't be able to reach, and it just spears away beyond his run and through for a goal kick to Newcastle.
It's a couple of times Cash has run off Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes was over the far side. He's apologising to his teammates because he's your man. You know, if you're a winger and a fullback gets away from you, runs off you, gets into a dangerous position, you know it's your problem. Fortunately for him, ball did not reach Cash as he flew forward. By the way, talking just a moment about the Gimenez, he's initiated that contact. He's thrown himself into it. Now, it is becoming more and more common in the game, and it's one of the things that referees are. It's really hard for them to spot. It's really, really hard for them to spot. So well done, referee, spotting that one, although it was a bit obvious.
1-1. Joe Linton holds off the challenge on the halfway line. Combination of Asensio and McGinn, and Trippier volleys it forward for Isak to chase, but Mings is there and is able to pass it to the halfway line. But back to Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes. Dan Burn now into the path of Harvey Barnes, and Harvey Barnes is running at Cash and then plays it across the penalty area, but Mings was able to, with his right foot, clear that up and away out of the danger area. Morgan Rogers now, who's being chased by Murphy and beats him and Joe Linton brilliantly. Joe Linton dives in with the challenge. He wins the ball, but I think it was the force, what they would call the reckless nature of that challenge, that means that it's a free kick that is given to Villa for that challenge by Joe Linton on Rogers, and he's going to book him as well.
Yeah, it feels like a harsh booking from here. Referee was close to there. Brilliant play there by Rogers there. Lovely little flick around there, and it's because he's went to ground. His feet slightly off the ground as he's made the tackle, Joe Linton. I can see why the referee's given it. There's another angle here. Has he caught him very badly? Doesn't seem that bad. It's just the angle of a tackle, more than anything else. He's come in from behind, so he's got a yellow card and a pretty harsh one.
Yep, I think that's the first. That is the first booking, isn't it? No, Schär as well. Schär was booked. So a free kick to Villa just forward of the centre circle, with Tielemans standing with his hands on his hips. Newcastle holding the high line. Tielemans drops it over that high line, but overhits it, which I think is understandable in these conditions. It really is swirling around, and Pope was able to take the catch. But if you look at the roof of the Doug Ellis stand, Pat, there are 5 flags up there, and I think all of them are blowing in different directions.
They are. You're absolutely right.
Here's Murphy on the halfway line, just keeps the ball in play next to where Unai Emery is standing. He's suggesting with his palms apart that Murphy carried it out of play, but in any case his infield pass gives possession back to Villa. Long ball from Martinez, and that's gone all the way to Watkins, who's up against Schär and into the area, shoots across goal, but mishit it as Schär went tight on him, and the ball just trundled across the 6-yard box and beyond and out for a goal kick.
It's the famous one-touch move. He's just smashed it up there, and it's 1-1 again. And we're so used to seeing, you know, the lone striker up there, and there's usually 2 centre-backs beside him, or possibly even a third. But that's not the way Newcastle play. They're trusting their 2 centre-backs just to go man-to-man. Sometimes it's Rogers and Redo who come in from the right-hand side, and he'll be on Dan Burn. But on this occasion, it was just one simple ball. Watkins, he's only got 1 goal. He could have had 3 or 4.
He's been electric. He's certainly taken his opportunity. He'll have been disappointed, of course, not the start against Paris Saint-Germain. That's what you expect if you're the main man. And here he is, as the ball is played forward by Rogers for Asensio. Watkins standing here to the left, but Asensio was challenged. Newcastle now attack down the right with Isak, but Isak cuts back. Lots of white shirts in the Villa box. Isak, then to Bruno Guimaraes. Isak drives it across the area. It's Reece Livramento. Right foot shot from him. That's blocked by camera, and the ball bounces to the edge of the area where Asensio loses possession. Tonali's after this. Tonali stumbles over as goalkeeper Martinez comes out, and Martinez is very happy to say thank you very much and picks up the ball.
I mean, brilliant play in the first place by Isak there. Smashes it across, just wanting anyone to get a touch. It never quite went the right way. Interesting to see what Tonali does here. Was it Tonali who got it? The ball goes to him.
I think he just lost his foot. He just lost his footing.
My eyebrows are off the top of my head.
They are. Here is Rogers. Now to Watkins. Watkins against Schär again. Oh, Schär with a challenge. Watkins goes down. The ball runs away behind, and the referee takes his time and says goal kick only. And Villa, Yuri Tielemans And the Newcastle players are suggesting that Watkins has dived, and I think the question that they're asking is, what are you going to do about Watkins for diving like that? So pick the bones out of that.
Well, this is one of the ones, if it's either a penalty or else it's a booking for Watkins, because he's, again, I'm saying Watkins is initiating the tackle,
and I'm not sure there is much contact, certainly not from his foot. Shea steps in.
Yeah, he puts his foot out and he's thrown his right leg out. It's so common, so many players are doing that just now. And see the phrase, "oh, there is contact." Yeah, so what? Whose contact is it? Who initiated the contact? Because there's contact doesn't mean it's a full one direction. So, slightly in the bad books here. Wally Watkins, that's never a penalty kick.
No. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 1. We're already into 3 minutes of added time. It's been yet another really busy sporting day. We'll be rounding up and catching up with everything that you need to know at half-time. Get the latest on the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix qualifying, the latest scores in all of the rugby union matches. England, very big lead over Scotland. 49-7 it is now in the Women's Six Nations. That's on Sports Extra right now. The Villa crowd feel that Watkins should have had a penalty, but I think, Pat, you read that absolutely right.
Yeah. Do you know, the referee's got a bit of stick there.
Rogers loses out to Murphy, but the ball runs away for Newcastle and Konza's able to step forward.
The referee getting a little bit of stick there. Do you know what? It's been the players that have been the problem there, deliberately throwing themselves to the ground. Yeah,
who would be a referee? As Konza loses out to Bruno Guimaraes. Now here's Livramento back to Bruno Guimaraes, shoots from the D but got underneath that and sends the shot by probably a yard, maybe two, over the top left corner and into the Holt end.
There have been so many chances and half chances and players that got into positions you think, yeah, you should get that in target. And I mean, Bruno Guimaraes, he's so capable of getting that one on target. But there have been time and again to have got into positions where there was a few moments ago within the right hand side, just flying through Asensio in the kind of inside forward position. The ball was probably 2 yards short. Had it gone to him, he was 1-on-1 with the keeper all the way through this first half. To be honest, I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking 1-1. Are you sure? It should be so much more.
Yeah, a little bit like Thursday night in the Europa League at Old Trafford, where I was thinking, what is the score now? As Shea heads this away for Newcastle, and then Murphy goes down rather easily and wins the free kick, which is, as you can hear, has not gone down well. By the way, just to say, that was so thrilling, that listen on Thursday night, the commentary of in extra time on the Manchester United-Lyon match, that you if you were there, I would say go back and have a listen to that, which you can do on BBC Sounds. You go into stations and schedules for 5 Live and find last Thursday around about 10 o'clock, listen to the last half hour. You will very much enjoy that, particularly if you're a Manchester United fan. Free kick to Newcastle.
I think the commentators podcast will be talking about the commentary in that one.
Yes, I suspect so. As Barnes plays it forward towards Isak on his right foot, back to the edge of the box. Barnes again, Isak again. Isak trying to dance his way through, still going, but it ran away from him, and then Tyrone Mings is able to turn it away nicely with his left foot from Livramento, and then up towards Watkins, and Watkins is forced back by Byrne all the way down into almost his own right back area, and that is the last action of a very eventful and entertaining first half at Villa Park, as we suspected it might be. Almost from the outset, with Ollie Watkins seeing his shot deflected in after 32 seconds for Villa's opening goal. He's hit the post. He's also shot against the angle of post and bar. There have been other chances as well, but Newcastle equalising through Fabian Schär's headed goal from a Barnes cross. Schär himself it was who deflected the Watkins goal into the back of the Newcastle net.
Yeah, I mean, a brilliant game to watch. To be fair, Aston Villa have been a better side. They've had more chances, they've looked slicker in that midfield, but it doesn't matter. You know, you've got to score the goals and take the chances when you get them. But they have been hanging on a few times, you know, certainly hitting the crossbar and the post. Aston Villa feel themselves unlucky. What kind of sums it up, you know, Newcastle fans are relieved, so they applauded the players off there. But just as the whistle went, it was an unusual reaction from the Villa fans. It wasn't a roar, it was a, applause. We enjoyed that. We really liked that. Could you give us some more of that? and I suspect they're going to get plenty more.
Yep, that's what we want. More of the same in the second half. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 1.
Good half. Thanks both. Second half commentary to come from Villa Park. Lines open for 606 08085 909 693. We'll speak to Chris Sutton shortly. In the Premier League, Brentford 4, Brighton 2. Brighton had João Pedro sent off. Chris Richards got a red card for Crystal Palace. They drew 0-0 with Bournemouth. Other full times, Everton 0, Manchester City 2. Finished 1 apiece in the game between West Ham and Southampton. Women's Champions League semi-final first leg finished Arsenal 1, Lyon 2. And the Scottish Cup semi-final, the first of them was won by Aberdeen 2-1 after extra time over 10-man Hearts. We'll bring you as much reaction as we can before second half commentary from Villa Park. 6:20, John Barnes has the news.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced an Easter truce in Ukraine. He says it will last until the end of tomorrow.
We assume that the Ukrainian side will follow our example. At the same time, our troops must be ready to repel possible violations of the truce and provocations from the enemy. Our decision on the Easter truce will show how sincere is the readiness of the Kiev regime and its desire, and indeed its ability, to comply with the agreements and participate in the process of peace negotiations.
Here's our correspondent in Ukraine, James Waterhouse.
The wording from the Kremlin is interesting. It has said it will announce this truce as long as Kyiv does the same, and it's preparing for such a ceasefire to be violated. Moscow has done this before. It did it in early 2023 over the Christmas holidays, and as a team we reported from the frontline city of Bakhmut. And let me tell you, the fighting did not stop then either. That city would gradually be captured and reduced to rubble. But this does leave President Zelensky, who's accused Russia of continuing to gamble with lives with its continued drone attacks. It leaves him in a tricky position, because with a Moscow-friendly White House, if he gives an order, or his generals do, to continue fighting, and it can be framed as an escalation after this announcement from Moscow, and Donald Trump takes a dim view, then that could have serious implications. But there are areas of cooperation with Kyiv and Moscow. One main one, prisoner exchanges. We've seen 271 prisoners of war return to Ukraine today, and it's almost this continued paradox where you have this area of cooperation, but of course this is a war that is very much continuing and likely to do so over the next 48 hours, despite this announcement from the Kremlin this evening.
Professor Paul Moorcroft is a former UK Ministry of Defence analyst and the author of Putin's War, NATO's Flaws, Why Russia Invaded Ukraine.
We always assume that Putin is mad, bad, and so on. But there is a genuine religious element to him. This may be very cynical, but on the other hand, it's the first time that, or in a long time, that Easter is the same in the Catholic and the Orthodox religions. So this is a good way to play to Trump, to the religious right in Trumpland, in the south of America, south of the USA. So this is a very good PR gesture, because Putin seems to be left out in the cold. Everybody else is making decisions around him. Now he's doing what he's done before. He's saying, look, I am prepared to do this for humanitarian reasons. It's a step in the right direction. I know that sounds a bit weak, but it's a chance for the firing to stop. And that's what everybody wants. Now, as your commentator just said, Zelensky has to play along with this. He can't raise the stakes. He can't do any provocations. There's got to be an attempt on Zelensky's side to play the game. PR gesture, probably. Humanitarian gesture, perhaps. Probably won't work for too long, but there's some hope.
Our correspondent Joe Inwood says the announcement comes after warnings from the US that he could abandon efforts to secure peace.
We had Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, saying, well, maybe we're going to walk away. And ever since then, there's been this real concern that lack of any diplomatic breakthrough might lead to the whole thing collapsing. What we've now seen is President Putin coming out from nowhere, it seems, and saying we're going to have an Easter truce. If it holds, that'd be significant militarily for a few days. But I think more than that, it gives a sort of the idea that there is the possibility of some sort of diplomatic breakthrough here. But I think the Ukrainians will be very unlikely to trust the Russians in this.
President Putin said he was being guided by humanitarian considerations and encouraged Kyiv to follow suit. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Russian drone attacks were taking place a short time before the truce was due to start. In other news, a 63-year-old man whose car was being followed by police at Croydon in South London has died in a crash involving 2 other vehicles last night. 6 people have been taken to hospital, one of them with potentially life-threatening injuries. Officials have named the British couple who died in a cable car crash near Naples in southern Italy on Thursday. Graham Wynne, who was 65, and 58-year-old Elaine Wynne were killed alongside an Israeli tourist and the Italian cable car driver. Police cordoned off a popular walking spot in Lancashire this morning after 2 grenades were found. The devices were spotted by a passerby at Rivington Reservoir. Officers say they appear to be deactivated training grenades. And Clodagh Rogers, who represented the UK in the Eurovision Song Contest in 1971, has died at the age of 78. She finished 4th in the competition with her song Jack in the Box.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
Weekdays from 9. Nikki Campbell takes your calls on the day's biggest news.
You're very welcome to the nation's phone in.
We were better off financially. Yes, we had free education. It was so easy to get a job.
My father made his own luck. Working the guts out 12, 14 hours a day. Don't tell me we're lucky.
Such passionate opinions on both sides of this argument.
Nikki Campbell. Weekdays from 9.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Villa 1, Newcastle 1, second half commentary on the way. Late goals from Nico O'Reilly and Mateo Kovacic gave Manchester City all 3 points away at Everton. They won 2-0, big for their Champions League hopes. Here's Pep Guardiola with Gary Flintoff.
What did you actually make of the performance of the side today?
Second half better, the players make a step up. We were more aggressive in the attacking midfield arriving, and Savinho make a step. So yeah, really good. So important. So we struggle. They have a chance, but Stefan making incredible 2 saves, especially in the set pieces, because the delivers from Gardner and Tarkowski and all of them. They are so tall. They are so strong in that department. But we control the transition, the quality, and they, of course, the pace for Broja and after from Beto and Doucouré always they are there. So we're controlling with the 3 holding midfielders really well. And the second half we make a step up. In the right moment we punish them. We were solid. We don't concede much. And really pleased for the results, because there's 5 games left, 3 at home, 2 away. And this week is nice to say how important it is. Today, Aston Villa and FA Cup semi-final start this week. Winning today is so important.
That's Pep Guardiola. Here's David Moyes.
We done really well, I thought, for the best part of 60 minutes or so. We just started to fade. Man City started to grow much more into the game. The injury to Tarky was a big blow to us and sort of altered the complete rhythm of the game for us. But it was... It gives us a chance to see what happens if we lose one of our better players. It gives us a chance to see how we play, what we can do without him. I didn't think we'd done that well, actually, when we lost him.
I mean, to be fair, today he was having one of those games, wasn't he, in both boxes. He was making a real difference at both ends of the pitch for you.
Well, he does. I mean, him and Jared are both excellent players, and the goalkeeper as well help us a lot and do a lot for the team here. So, we'll now get a chance to see how we're going to do if we don't have one of them, we'll lose one of them. So that'll give me something to look at over the coming weeks.
Brentford beat Brighton 4-2 at the G-Tech, 2 for Brian and Burmo, 1 for Johan Wissa and 1 for Christian Norgard, who spoke after the match to John Southall.
When Ivan Toney left, there were genuine concerns where the goals were going to come from. Wissa and Boomer have now scored 34 between them this season. A word about them.
40 with me, I think so. I think it's impressive what they've done, of course.
How many goals this season? You just told us.
They didn't ask, but I said it anyway. I think Brian and Wissa, for that matter, showed their qualities even when Ivan was here. But of course, he was the main man. Now the centre of stage is theirs now, and they've really taken that chance now and embraced the limelight after his move. they just give a different offensive play up front than with Ivan. I think they have more pace. They maybe press a bit higher, harder. We know that the target man Ivan was, and the goal scorer he was. But I think I don't know if it's better, but it's definitely changed a bit. And I hope we can keep them, but I'm not sure we can when it comes to summer.
Already relegated Southampton got a point at West Ham to equal Derby's record total of 11 set back in 2008. Finished 1-1. Here's interim manager Simon Rusk with Conor McNamara.
Simon, it's a great finish. It's been a campaign in which Southampton have little to celebrate, but I could see the fans really enjoyed that.
Yeah, really pleased for the fans, really pleased for the players as well. I thought they deserved their moment at the end today. A nice moment of togetherness, which I think will do everyone good. And I think in the end it was at least we deserved out of the game.
This point does bring you level with Derby County's tally from 2008. Does that matter to you, though? I mean, I'm sure you don't want to finish the season as the lowest points tally. I mean, this is a day that ensures that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things around that. You know, I am focusing on a lot of positives in the minute. I think this football club needs to focus on the positives. The players need it. We need that positive regard. But we're not stupid. You know, we know that people are, you know, that the points are important and the records. But for me, it's about not obsessing about that and just concentrating on our performance levels. And it's the critical thing, really. And if we do that and we do it really well, I'm sure we'll take care of the points record.
That's Simon Rusk. 08085 909 693. Lines open for 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, who is somewhere on the motorway on his way to studio, Chris.
Yes, I am on the way. Did Simon Ross just say he's focusing on the positives for Southampton this season? Well, Southampton fans, you can phone up and let us know what those positives are, but it looks like you're not going to be the worst ever team in Premier League history. It looks like it's Robbie Savage's Derby.
Do you want the goal difference, Chris? I've been working it out.
Well,
it's important.
it's
important.
Yeah, go on. Give us it, Steve. Go
so
on,
obviously,
then.
for Southampton to fail to break the record, they couldn't pick up any more points because they're level on points. Current goal difference for Southampton, minus 54. Derby, minus 69. So they'd have to lose all of their remaining games with a goal difference of minus 15 to break the record.
That's not going to happen. Savage is still going to be a record holder there, isn't he? The race for the Champions League, Steve, absolutely fascinating. I was at Goodison this afternoon. Manchester City seems so flat, but they got over the line. But Manchester United are certainly limping there. Do they deserve to get the Champions League place? You just spoke about Southampton. What about West Ham? Their opponents today, not seeing the magic under Potter, are they? And Brighton, their recent form has been very poor, hasn't it? I just wonder how Brighton fans, I think Tony Bloom was in the away end, wasn't he, this afternoon? Just how Brighton fans feel about their team. It's been a season of two halves. The Championship, Steve, absolutely fascinating at the top and bottom. Leeds United and Burnley, let's hear from their fans. 5 points clear of Sheffield. Can you catch them? Can you reel them in? I don't think so. It looks like it's going to be a playoff place for you. But at the bottom, Cardiff sacked Omar Risa. Was that today? I think it was today, Steve.
It was today, yeah. Aaron Ramsey's taken over for now.
Aaron Ramsey's taken over. I mean, why sack him now? That just seems madness. Luton got a win against Derby.
He said the other day, I don't know if you saw, Chris, the fans don't know what they're talking about. So that probably didn't help him.
It may not have helped him, but I mean, if they were going to sack him, why not sack him, a couple of months back or a month ago or whatever, to give themselves a chance. Aberdeen winning in the Scottish Cup semi-final. And what about Carlisle United? Steve, beating Port Vale, the great escape. Can they stay up? And let's hear from Bury fans who won the North West Counties League.
Great shout. Thank you, Chris. Safe travels. 08085 909 693. The lines are open. It's also the penultimate day of action at the British Aquatics Championships, not far away from the evening session. John Hunt.
Good evening to you, Steve. Yes, these British Championships double up as qualifiers for the World Championships, which are staged in Singapore this summer. So lots to go at. There are 5 pre-selected spots, and this week so far, Steve, 11 other spots have been secured by some emerging talents and some of our great superstars in the sport, of which Ben Proud and Abbey Wood are amongst the major names already on the team for Singapore. They both race tonight and both are taken on by emerging talents. For example, Alex Painter and Jacob Mills take on Ben Proud later on in the 50-metre freestyle. Jacob Mills is only 17, but he was quicker than Proud in the heats this morning. And bear in mind, Ben, of course, won a silver medal at the Olympic Games. And also, Abby Wood, who herself was an Olympic finalist, she could feel some heat from Katie Shanahan in particular. Katie's already won 2 British titles this week in the backstroke, and Leah Schlossen. And that'll be another highlight later on, Steve, in the 200 metres individual medley.
Lovely stuff, John. Thank you very much indeed. It's finished England 59, Scotland 7 in the Women's Six Nations. 5 Sports Extra for Q2 at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, ready to go at Villa Park. John.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, Villa about to get the second half underway here. The score is 1-1 after Ollie Watkins put Villa in front and Fabian Schär equalised. And there is Yuri Tielemans playing the ball back towards Martinez, the goalkeeper, who's 5 or 6 yards out of his penalty area. A long ball downfield from him as Villa will attack, as they like to do in the second half, towards the Holt end. Still lots of movement in there as people are coming back to their places. That's to our right, the 2 tiers of the Holt end. That's the stand from which they drop their tifo down during the course of the Champions League matches. Camara in centre field. No changes at the break, so Villa still with Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Mings and Maatsen, Tielemans and Camara, Rodgers, Asensio, McGinn and Watkins, so Marcus Rashford on the substitutes bench for this one. And Newcastle unchanged for the 7th match in a row. And here is Livramento as the stand-in left back, taking the ball down the left wing. Newcastle in the white shirts with the green trim, green shorts and white socks, and going back to the centre circle to Fabian Schär, who is heavily involved in the first half. Byrne now finds the pass to Barnes. Barnes up against Cash, right down in front of us, and then McGinn's able to get a foot in on that, and we'll get a first word in the second half from Pat Nevin.
Yeah, decent start again from Newcastle this time, because obviously they were under a little bit of pressure in the first half. They'd probably be very happy to go in at 1-1, but I do not expect, I'd be surprised if this game ends up 1-1 with the chances that were in the first half.
Me too. As Watkins loses out on the halfway line, and Newcastle have it back with Jacob Murphy. Murphy looks to receive the ball back from Trippier, which he does, but Rodgers is there, right there with him, forcing him into the corner quadrant itself, and in the end the ball is deflected out of play off the Newcastle man by the extremely hard-working Rodgers, and it's a throw into Villa in their own left-back area.
It was one of the big calls of the game, Digne or Maatsen in that left-back position, with how good Murphy's been playing. And Maatsen, fabulous going forward. Some questions about his defending there have been in the past. I have to say, he's not put a foot wrong today.
No, he hasn't. He's done well. The former Chelsea man who was at Borussia Dortmund last season, you'll remember. And here he is now winning another throw-in as he blasts the ball into Murphy, and it just bounces over the hoardings next to the Newcastle fans, still in great cheer, those supporters. I'm sure probably every single one of them was among the estimated 300,000 on the streets of Tyneside, celebrating the Carabao Cup win. Newcastle winning the ball back. Tonali does well against Tielemans. Now it finds its way to Livramento on the edge of the box. Barnes is available too, still in the area on the left-hand side. Villa have got 2 men there. Excellent cross from Barnes, headed away by Mings, who did well, got up commanding, and Villa through Asensio through to their captain McGinn, and McGinn just rolls it nicely into the path of the surging Rodgers, whose ball forward to Watkins, he allows to run into the Newcastle right back area. Byrne forced him out there, and so Villa actually come back towards the halfway line again. An excellent break, but snuffed out by Newcastle, and another ball over the top that Byrne will get up and head down away from Watkins, and Trippier should deal with that, which he does, passing it forward to Murphy, and then Tonali. Lovely ball from Tonali on the edge of his own box to Isak, who was challenged, and Villa have got it back centre field. Excellent play. There's not much between these two sides at the start of the second half.
No, there isn't, but again, Isak going very, very deep, because he's getting no joy out of Mings and Konsa up front, so he's going deep or wide, and he does lovely work there. But that's not what you need him. There's other players back there who can do that job for you. You want him to get the ball in that final third, but not enough of it from what is one of the most talented players in the league.
Yes, I think he's just had one sniff, hasn't he, so far today? Isak looking to add as Newcastle come forward. Ball in. Here is Isak in the area, but Mings went to ground, cleared that, and Maatsen actually has given it away to Murphy. Murphy surged into the box from him, then back to the edge of the penalty area. Bruno Guimaraes draws the challenge, gets to his feet, tries to barge his way through, but Martinez on the edge of the 6-yard box as Mings went with Guimaraes. The Argentine goalkeeper was able to come out and claim it.
He's kind of bulldozed his way through there. It's not exactly skill, but it doesn't matter. He wasn't fouled, he wasn't fouling anyone else, but just didn't have the strength in the ball. Got away from him. Martinez out quickly.
Into the 5th minute of the second half, still 1-1. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Good play from Rodgers again against Tonali, but his slip passed through. McGinn's got there, but from a very tight angle. Nick Pope came out as well, and with the Newcastle goalkeeper's right leg, he was able to block it behind, almost on the white line behind for a corner.
He's such a beautiful mover with the ball, Rodgers, isn't he? He doesn't look like he's doing anything when he just drifts by players. His balance is phenomenal. The only question about him so far is limited involvement in the game, because every bit of involvement he's had, he's looked fantastic.
Yeah, I'd agree with having seen quite a bit of them recently. I think that sums up quite well how he's been playing recently. Tielemans with the corner in front of the Holt end, the score at 1-1. Into the near post it goes, over the top of Joe Linton, cleared away and then nipped away, and Barnes might be able to break away, but he got the ball caught up underneath his feet as he tried to do that, and actually in the end he had to play it back to Trippier, and Trippier's ball to the halfway line has given possession back to Aston Villa. The big crowd inside Villa Park for this one. Big matches coming up. They play Manchester City on Tuesday night, and then do join us this time next week when Villa are involved in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Crystal Palace. Tielemans now, crossfield pass, but I don't think Cash will. He will keep it in, Cash, but running at Livramento is also sharp, who's managed to take possession of the ball, but under pressure from Cash, runs it over his own goal line for a corner.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get back there. I mean, most defenders there will get back and just kick it out and accept it, but he tried to get there, win it, and keep it in play. And unusually for Livramento, just slightly ran out of play in a corner kicking out of Villa.
Yeah, Asensio to take this one. Left-footed ball. Newcastle have everyone back inside their own penalty area. Cloudy skies above, 1 or 2 blue patches through the clouds, but that swirly wind again causing problems, and actually McGinn is going to come all the way across. Asensio though does deliver it into the near post, took a flick and was cleared away by Tonali, and then forced back across the penalty area, but to the feet of Barnes, and Barnes for Newcastle is able to play it forward and run onto it, but Villa are there, both Tielemans and Asensio, and then McGinn snaps in and puts the challenge in on Murphy, and the ball bounces away behind for a goal kick to Newcastle.
I wonder if that Tielemans header was going in. Maybe just going past. They actually had someone on the goal line. Doesn't always happen. Tonali was on the goal line by the post there, but nice little neat header there at the near post, but just going by. Again, it's very lively, but you see the difference the Holt end makes. It's extraordinary. They've livened up. They've got a team playing towards them there, and it has seriously lifted them to start this second half.
Villa Park singing the John McGinn song very, very loudly. Must be a great feeling, that, Pat. Yeah, when you have a big football ground singing your name, you'll have had that
once or twice. Yeah. But I mean, John McGinn is just so deeply loved by his fans, because
had a very good night on Tuesday night. He did.
He's just one of those players that you can't actually help but loving if you're he's in your team, because even if he didn't have the best of games, his work rate is extraordinary.
Villa in a little bit of trouble. Tielemans playing it back to Martinez, who dragged it back and then passes it very coolly to Konza along the goal line, even though Barnes was there. And here is that man, John McGinn, the number 7, and then in the classic style, after soaking up all of the adoration.
No, I didn't. I'm not going to let you do that to him or yourself. Indeed, I actually think he played the right ball there. Watkins thought he was offside and stopped. I don't think he was offside. He should have kept on moving.
Okay. Won't have a word said against him.
Or you.
Byrne playing the ball back to goalkeeper Pope.
Well, there's a possible change in front of us now that maybe isn't a great surprise. Gordon's gone out to warm up there, and because they're having a limited effect in the second half. But it'll be harsh on, Barnes. Not that much, not many opportunities, in the final third. But when he's got there, he has looked dangerous, and of course he was the one who created the goal.
Yes, 1-1, 5 Live. Lines are open for 6:06 as Matson just bundles over Murphy, and that's a free kick in the centre circle. Yes, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton waiting for your calls, as we heard from Chris at half-time. He was with Ian Dennis at Goodison Park earlier for Manchester City's win. So yeah, 08 085 909 693 to get in touch with them if you want to be part of the UK's most popular football phone-in. Hashtag BBC 606, text 85058 to book your calls. And as they were saying, very interested here, amongst others, from Cardiff City fans after the late change in management in this season. 1-1 with Villa back in possession, and Tielemans lifting the ball over right-footed for the run for Matson down the left-hand side. Matson's ball in field though, groans from the Holt end. Excellent challenge from Tielemans to win the ball back from Bruno Guimaraes, and now Rodgers with a shot that is hit into the back of Cher, who went to ground. He wasn't going to be deflecting that into his own net. He put his whole body in front of it, and it blasted him in the back, did Fabian Cher. So it remains 1-1, but Rodgers there with that chance. Villa passing the ball around inside the Newcastle half. Here is Asensio trying to find space, which he does, and then Trippier's in with a challenge. That's a free kick to Villa.
It is really good defender with Cher though. I mean, he just threw, as you say, his entire body in the position. The angle we were at, I couldn't quite see if there was anyone in Rodgers' way there, and there was. Cher made the tackle, and there's a bit of a game saver, or a goal saver. Just in a moment, looking down at who they might change here if Anthony Gordon comes on. And it's a tough one to call. The obvious one would be Barnes, but I'm not sure.
Could be Murphy.
It could be Murphy, and it actually could be Isak. And you could put...
he's had one of his quieter days.
Exactly, and you might want to actually put Gordon up front, who will run that line maybe a little bit better, might be a little bit more suited for him. We shall see.
So free kick to Villa. It's actually quite chilly here today. It's a wind, a swirling wind with a sharp edge to it. Asensio dummies to take the free kick. Restart, left-footed in, and then Mings got up probably 12 yards out. Couldn't direct it down. He had Isak with him and headed it high over the top of the crossbar and behind for a goal kick, and it remains 1-1 here. Tomorrow, join us on 5 Live, the day that the title could be clinched by Liverpool, depending on results. Ipswich Arsenal first of all, 2 o'clock, 5 Live, then Leicester City Liverpool at 4:30. And the Villa fans are on to Newcastle here. Nick Pope has taken quite a long time to take this goal kick, still hasn't taken it, and eventually does now. Over the halfway line, Joe Linton, bleach blonde hair, gets up, heads it forward, but Villa are back in possession. Here's Tielemans looking over both shoulders, little pass short to McGinn, and McGinn motors across field, both arms bent as he runs, gives it to Matson, then back to Tielemans. Tielemans had a look forward, but in fact goes back to Ezri Konsa, the England international, on the halfway line. Then Tielemans through the middle, and then Asensio works it on to Cash, but Burns slides in, but the referee's going to bring it back for the foul on John McGinn, just forward of the centre circle. He allowed play to continue there, and the Villa players are saying, what are you going to do about that challenge on McGinn?
Well, he's allowed it to go a long way, but that play
was at
there.
the limit.
Yeah.
And it was Bruno Guimaraes who sort of barged him in the back with his arms up in front of his chest.
But, to be honest, John McGinn was leaving his body there, yes. But to be honest, I think Guimaraes is a wee bit lucky there, because he's put his elbow in his back there, and had the referee reached for his card there, he wouldn't have been completely and utterly shocked.
That's Pat Nevin with us, former Scotland international, watching Villa organising themselves from this free kick. Yuri Tielemans is standing with the ball.
Feels a wee bit like Newcastle are thinking, well, they're not playing for a draw, but they take it just now. Whereas for Villa, it's not a great result, is it? Particularly the way the league is going at the moment.
Yep. Aston Villa coming into this match in 7th. A point would take them up a place. above Chelsea, who play tomorrow. Free kick for Villa. Tielemans to McGinn. 35 yards out, back to Tielemans, curling it into the back post. Trippier gets up, flying, heads it out to Rodgers in the yellow boots. Then Maatsen's cross took a deflection, that loops it high. Pope comes for it, he's under pressure from Watkins, but collects the ball in any case, the Newcastle United goalkeeper, and then runs it out to the edge of the area and overarms it out. Lovely delivery into the path of Livramento, but Asensio is it to get a touch in on that, to take it away from the Newcastle left back, and now they counter-attack Aston Villa with Asensio. Tielemans, though, as play just slows the momentum of the Aston Villa attack, and Tielemans just keeps possession.
Do you
passes
know
to Camera.
You're right about the momentum slowing, John. I think that's a really important thing, and I do think it's Newcastle who've done that. They're really not playing the same way. It looks more like a 4-5-1 at the moment. Beforehand they were, the full-backs were flying forward all the time. Wingers were playing high, leaving 1-on-1 at the back. They're just not doing that as much just now.
Villa through the middle. McGinn with a chance, but it's blocked by Pope, who just stood up as McGinn had a go at it and blocked it. And then Rodgers with a shot, but that's straight at Pope, more or less, who was able just to put his feet wide apart and gather the ball into his midriff.
Again, it's a distance away from us, but Pope just made his body big. Did his hand just happen to be in the right place? I think it did, honestly. The ball's played through him again. He battered it. I think it might have even hit it into the ground, but caught it with real pace. And Pope's hand just happened to be there. And it banged off it.
Yep. Double save, but both of them routine saves, really, as the ball is played forward for Newcastle. A rare attack for Newcastle, which is deflected back to his goalkeeper by Camera. And the momentum is building with Aston Villa here, no question, and that's why Newcastle have adjusted in the way that Pat Nevin has described.
Yeah, it's, and I don't. Sometimes it's the management have said it. You say tactically, let's be a wee bit safer here. Sometimes you're just pushed back. That's just what happens, because you're losing the battle in midfield and you go further and further back. They don't want to do that, and certainly watching Livramento, that's the last thing he wants to do. He loves to get forward from the left back area, but I think if you allow Aston Villa that amount of time for that long, they're going to create chances.
Season getting to the sharp end. The Grand Prix season just beginning. That's on Sports Extra now, qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So that is your current choice of listening, as Newcastle have the ball inside the Villa half, ball played forward by Joe Linton, but Cash was able to get a clear sight of that, step forward and then scurry forward with it. But the white shirts of Newcastle quickly closed him down, so Villa had to find Tielemans, whose pass through the middle is cut out by a sliding Burn. Very, very nearly slipped that through Tielemans. He's so effective, isn't he, from that range? What an excellent passer of the ball.
And he knows that the space is there. If you play that high line at all and you're not closing down the likes of Tielemans or McGinn or wherever, they know they're capable of playing that pass, and it's just those long legs of Scher and Burn that stopped it.
Yeah, super pass last weekend for the Watkins goal at Southampton. Bruno Guimaraes, though, to the edge of the area. Isak with a shot, tried to place it from the left side of the area with his instep, and Martinez was able to drop down to his left and make a comfortable save.
He's not got it really strong enough, has he? You watched him at his very, very best when he's absolutely up for it, and another foul there.
Yeah, foul by Bruno Guimaraes on Tielemans, and the referee couldn't get the yellow card out quickly enough. He'd already warned Bruno Guimaraes after that last challenge when he barged over McGinn using his arms, so that was instantaneous, the yellow card.
I think he was walking a tightrope for quite some time, not just the bars, but in the first half there was a couple of times he went to ground. Certainly once he went to ground, the referee wasn't happy with as well. So yeah, yellow card in a dangerous moment there, because I'm watching Joe Linton, who's walking about. He looks a little bit tired just now, so changes are afoot. But will it be up front or will it be midfield?
Jason Tindall, in the absence of Eddie Howe, is just talking to Anthony Gordon. So it is going to be Anthony Gordon now, bare-chested at the moment, as someone hands him his Newcastle shirt, with that extremely impressive mane of highlighted blonde hair that he has now. Here is Asensio to Watkins, and now Maatsen's onto it and scores. What a super finish! The left back arrived and he thrashed it past Pope from the angle, and Villa have got the goal that their play in the second half has deserved. Villa in front again, 2-1 on Newcastle.
What a break! He's came from left back there. He has flown at an incredible pace. He must have made about 60 yards there. The start of that run was incredible. So when he gets there, he's got to be composed. He's got to slightly slow himself down there. He doesn't look as if he have, but he leathers it into the far post. It's a difficult angle when it's played. He's definitely onside. Keeper comes out. He's never going to save that. Newcastle are about to make a change. I'm gutted they didn't make it before now.
Yeah, the change is about to be made. Anthony Gordon is going to come on for Jacob Murphy. So just having a look to see if, well, Barnes is going over towards the right. Occasionally Gordon will play on the right, but
no, they did that against Manchester United. They did that against Manchester United. He's comfortable over there. I don't think there's as great an understanding between Gordon and Livramento, but Gordon gives you something extra special, and certainly his pace as well. But they're going to have to do something extra special because Aston Villa are ahead. They deserve to be ahead. And just about 5 minutes ago I was saying Maatsen hasn't put a foot wrong defensively. Well, he's added to that in an offensive way. That was a remarkable run and a brilliant finish.
Yes, the Dutchman, Dutch international he is now, Ian Maatsen. And that was his first Premier League goal for Aston Villa. I was here when he scored in the Champions League, actually his first goal for the club against Club Bruges in the second leg. But he timed that, as Pat Nevin has said, absolutely brilliant. It was a well-worked goal by Aston Villa, and he arrived at pace at just the right time to arrive onto it and hit a shot that I don't think many goalkeepers would have kept out. Flew past Pope, and Villa are in front for the second time in the match, and they've been the better team in the second period. And now Joe Linton has been dispossessed by Watkins, and then Watkins finds Kieran Trippier arriving to challenge him, and the ball runs away through after that contact from the Newcastle right back to goalkeeper Pope.
It's very noticeable that Joe Linton's having a much lesser effect in the game just now. He's scared to make any tackles at all. He's on a yellow card. He's in positions where he'd normally make a tackle, and he's kind of almost jumped out of them because he's so scared that he'll get another yellow card. Just giving Gordon the first time he's got the ball there. As soon as he's on the pitch, they've tried to get him on the ball. Good ploy.
The Holt end in great voice now as Harvey Barnes tries to get round the outside of the man who's just scored his first Premier League goal for Villa, Maatsen, who was able to put in the challenge. Effective in both penalty areas, Villa's number 22, but it is a corner to Newcastle. But Kieran Trippier is just walking forward in front of the Newcastle fans there. One of them just pulls out an England flag with Newcastle written across the middle of it. Corner to be taken by Trippier. So an outswinger from him. Byrne is standing towards this side of the penalty area as we look. Trippier drills it in low, and Joe Linton shoots. It's blocked inside the area, but bounces up for Tielemans, who's able to readjust and volley it away out of play near the halfway line.
It's one of those ones where just about everything about that worked right. It was zipped towards the penalty spot low, allowing Isak to come out and hit it. The problem was it was zipped just too fast, even for a quality player like Isak to be able to get a good contact on it. But that was a decent corner kick.
Just in the qualifying at the Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia, there's a red flag at the moment because Lando Norris has collided with a wall. He says he's okay, and according to what I'm reading here, which is the live page actually on the BBC website, he calls himself an idiot for doing that.
So he is hard on himself, isn't he?
Well, you can hear that over on Sports Extra right now. Jacob Ramsey's going to come on. That's going to be Aston Villa's first change. And Newcastle now with the onus on them. 6 wins in a row coming into this in all competitions, including the great day in the final at Wembley during that run. But Newcastle in possession, not lost since Anfield in the Premier League when they were beaten 2-0 by Liverpool in advance of the cup final. Ball out to the right hand side. Here's Barnes now. Barnes into the box, drives it across. Maatsen blocks it, took all the pace off it, and Mings was able to step across and with his left foot whack it downfield.
Barnes looks at least as comfortable on the right as he does on the left. On the left hand side he cuts in and he wants to have a shot, but on the right hand side he just wants to get to the byline. Everything's positive when he gets on the ball.
And Nana coming on as well, so it'll be a double change for Villa. Joe Linton's pass, that's cut out by McGinn. Forward from camera, this is for Watkins to chase. Watkins knows that Tonali is coming, holds it up brilliantly, does the Aston Villa number 11, and plays it back to the halfway line. Superb centre forward play from Ollie Watkins, who could have had a hat-trick in the first half. Just the one goal to show from it though, that early goal, the deflected goal, as Asensio felt that he was fouled. It was a combination of Guimarães and Tonali who are either side of him, but referee Gillett says no, and Newcastle are back in possession. We've got 20 minutes to play, and if this remains to be the scoreline, then that tightens things up again, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. I mean, you cannot call it at all if this stays the way it is just now. Just looking to see what Villa do. Will it be like for like? I suspect it will be.
As Isak turns 30 yards out, gives the ball to Gordon, first time into the match, first time running at Cash into the penalty area, but Cash drops down and blocks the intended cross out for a corner. Were it to stay like this, then Villa would be level on points with Nottingham Forest, who play Tottenham on Monday. Villa would be in 6th, Newcastle 59 points, Villa would have 57, so and Newcastle would still be 3rd. But it's a corner to Newcastle. 20 minutes to play. Still got plenty of football to play in this match, as Trippier is going to deliver this right-footed. It's a deep one. Martinez turns, it's volleyed back across, but I think that might have gone out. It did before it came back in, after it was volleyed across, probably from behind the white line. And it's a goal kick to Aston Villa, who lead 2-1, and we're going to see these two changes now for Aston Villa. So Anana and Ramsey are going to come on, and Asensio is the first number to go up, his red number 21. Yuri Tillemans is just coming across for some instructions, and also McGinn is making way, Pat.
The changes he made, that's the big thing about Aston Villa just now. There is a massive amount of adaptability. They've got a brilliant bench at the moment. You watch McGinn going off now, captain's role, but you can play him anywhere across the midfield. And I mean, your two sitting midfielders or the three in front of him, he'll play anywhere there. But he's not the only one that can do that. He's coming off now. They can make so many changes. I suspect they'll put Anana maybe back there, move Tielemans a little bit further forward, allow his creativity, to work well with Watkins going forward as well.
Listen to this ovation for John McGinn. My goodness, they do appreciate him here. And high fives all round as he takes his place on the bench.
They often say, when I watched him very closely in his days at Hibs, I was on a season ticket at Hibs in those days, and it was 5 Live was in. I asked me when I arrived, what will he be doing? And I just said, Aston Villa fans, you're going to fall in love. And I think they have.
Certainly have. Aston Villa 2, Newcastle United 1. And Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton would love to hear from you on 08 085 909 693 tonight. 606 will be on air at round about 7:30 once we've wrapped things up here, as Watkins turns, plays the ball to the left-hand side, and for the first time into the match, Ramsey's ball into the near post. Tielemans is there to steal in and stab it past Pope. The ball's in the Newcastle net, and Villa have got a clear lead now. 3-1 against Newcastle.
Well, you make a change if you're the manager. You want it to work out. Seconds after he comes on, Tielemans in it, near post there. Just want to see who gets the very last touch there. They're having a little tap in the back of Ramsey. Burns looking a little bit sheepy as well in that back line there. It doesn't matter, it's the whole end. Got in front of the defender. Keeper's done it in near post there, but again it's zipped in front of him. But they come down the left hand side there, and it's a horrible ball to defend into that near post. And
did it come off, Burn?
I think it's Burn. I do think it's Dan Burn that's come off.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, Tielemans in front of Burn, and as Tielemans made his run across Dan Burn, it hit him on the top of his left foot and took a sharp left turn into the bottom corner, and it's an own goal. It's a Dan Burn own goal, and it's Aston Villa 3, Newcastle United 1, and Villa are sniffing 3 points here in this crucial match in their attempt to get back into the Champions League next season.
Yeah, well, we didn't think it was going to end up 1-1 at half time, did we? Too many chances in that first half, and they have been a little bit rocky at the back, Newcastle, and the gaps behind the centre backs, and they've been shaky, but been shaky because they've been playing against a good team.
Now Villa are after another one. Tielemans through to Rodgers beats Livramento, shoots, that's blocked by Pope, and then Livramento's able to head it away. It's still in the area though. It comes back on Nana, right foot, top corner, 4-1. What a finish, what a response this is by Aston Villa. Out of the Champions League on Tuesday night, but now free-flowing, goal-scoring Unai Emery's Aston Villa, 4-1 against Newcastle.
They've destroyed them in just a few minutes, but remember, they've also hit the post and the crossbar. The keeper's made a brilliant save in the second half as well. It is 4-1 just now, but Villa fans could say it could have been anything. They have been superb in this second half, but they've been a better team throughout. And by the way, what a finish by the substitute. They've not been bad substitutions, you have to say. Brought them on and they've destroyed Newcastle in a couple of minutes.
Well, that's 2 goals in 2 minutes, and you would think there'd be no coming back for Newcastle for this. They've been timed actually in the 74th and the 75th minutes, but I would suggest it'd be around about 2 minutes. But a Nana, lovely finish from the edge of the area, right instep, curling away from Pope's dive. 4-1.
It's a lovely finish, because he has passed it, and it is absolutely top corner there. Brilliant goal, and these fans are loving it.
Newcastle making more changes. Willock and Target have Kraft, it is. Willock and Target and Wilson have come on, and Trippier, Isak and Barnes are the 3 to be withdrawn. So this run of form for Newcastle, this feel-good factor that they've had in their play since winning the cup final and before it, well, it's coming to a shuddering halt here at the home of Aston Villa. And Bruno Guimaraes shrugged off the ball by Onana, but that is given as a free kick to Newcastle. But 4-1, 15 minutes to play. Can't see Newcastle coming back from this.
Well, they've not really looked like it much, and they've not made a lot of changes, certainly in the game so far, but they have made these changes now. But they've had a team that's cruised along for such a long time. You know why I didn't want to change it, but today it's looked a little bit more tired than they have been of late. But again, you have to underline, they're playing against a team that have been in great form and incredibly good at this home ground.
For Villa themselves, it would be 5 wins in a row in the Premier League. And don't forget, they did actually win the match against Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday night, so they've won 9 of their last 10 matches. The only defeat was in the Parc des Princes in the first leg. And here, they are formidable here, there's no question about it. Just the 2 defeats all season, losing here to Crystal Palace, who they play in the FA Cup semi-final next weekend. That was how they went out of the Carabao Cup, and the only league defeat was the very first match of the season here against Arsenal. Villa 4-1 up, and the Newcastle United supporters doing their best to urge their team on, but it's Villa looking for a 5th goal. Maatsen playing it across to Tielemans, but Newcastle are quickly back, having made the changes. Gordon in, but Camara's going to be onto that. Camara rolls it into the edge of the penalty area, but Byrne was able to dive in and prevent it from reaching Morgan Rodgers, who was in the box. So 4-1 it is, and Newcastle, who very much had the better of things against Aston Villa in recent times. Remember at the start of last season, Pat, when you and I were at St James's Park, as the ball's played over the top for Watkins by Konsa to chest this down, take it out to the left-hand side, then across. Ramsey hits the post from the angle, and it comes straight back at him, and Bruno Guimaraes was able to turn and clear it away. Ramsey hits the post.
I think we can safely say this could have been an absolute hammering, and it could still be. There's plenty of time left. They see it now, they feel it now. Aston Villa, they're thinking we score as many as we like here. They're passing it about at the back, but they don't want to stop. They want to keep on creating chances. And remember, they've got a lot of players playing there that are absolutely certain of their positions all the time. So they will not stop here. 4 is not enough for them.
No, it's not. That match at the start of last season when Newcastle won 5-1, and Gordon is now fouled by Cash, bundling him over inside his own half. And then, as I say, in December, in that ill and bad-tempered match at St James's Park, when Newcastle won 3-0, they won 3-1 here last season in that match that I was talking about in the first half when Cher scored twice. But they are getting a measure of revenge here for those recent defeats. And they've stepped it up in the second half, attacking towards the Holt end. They've scored 3 goals down there, and you would think there'd be no way back from Newcastle with just 10 minutes to play.
No, it looks as if they don't want to be embarrassed at this point in time. I haven't said that. Just watching players going further, players that have come on there, want to have some sort of effect. Willock would like to have an effect. Gordon, no great effect so far. And any centre forward comes on, such as Wilson, would love to get his goal. They don't care. They love scoring goals. But
places to play for in a semi-final team,
exactly,
as well. Although they will play Manchester City on Tuesday night. But they're going to bring on Rashford and Marlon, who's not on the Champions League list but has scored in his last 3 appearances for Villa now. Donyell Marlon, and also Ross Barkley, who made his comeback from injury as a substitute on Tuesday night. So a triple change coming up, and Matt Targett is also going to come on for Newcastle. So more substitutions on the way. Newcastle with Dan Burn. Here's Gordon on the left-hand side. Gordon moving in field to Tonali. He's not had the influence, Tonali, that he's had in recent matches. With Joe Linton with the cross, headed goalwards but wide by Willock. Good chance that for Willock, but headed it across goal and wide of the left post.
You've got to attack that and mean it. You really have to. And Isaac sitting at the side there going, why didn't I get that chance? It's absolutely what he loves to get. Not many chances like that he got, but I suppose you've come on, you're a little bit cold. That may be one excuse. But some of the changes have been made now, and I think it's about saving players. That Cher that's come off, he's going to come off. Target's now going to come on.
Yeah, Cher is just looking as though he might have an issue there, just watching him. Although he is going to take his seat in the dugout. So Kraft will move across, won't he, into central defence. So Cher, who did score the Newcastle equaliser here tonight, but that's the end of his match. And also for Villa, Morgan Rogers and Camara are coming towards the halfway line, and they are being applauded, a standing ovation for them. And Ollie Watkins as well, who scored the opening goal. He applauds down towards the north stand. Ollie Watkins and Rogers and Camara. So Watkins, Camara and Rogers are off. Rashford, Marlon and Ramsey are on.
That's not bad, is it? If you can bring that on.
Well, they've got a clean bill of health at the moment, Villa.
I mean, other teams would, if we're clean bill of health, they've got good, strong squads. Are there many better? Is there any better? Liverpool have got a fantastic squad, but you look how stretched the likes of Arsenal are just now. Coming to this part of the season, the fact that they're fighting in all these fronts at Aston Villa, they look very, very strong. And a lot of teams are beginning to wilt around about now. Aston Villa aren't.
No, they're not. With the recruitments that they made in January, that's a large part of the reason that their squad looks so powerful.
That was incredible. John Duran going, may have raised eyebrows at the time. It would have surprised quite a few people. I wasn't surprised by it, but the business that he'd done,
£70 million,
and then how he spent it, and the backup he's got for that. You got Rashford in, get a sense of it. It's amazing what he's done there.
Well, here is Rashford now. 3 goals so far for Aston Villa, but yet to score here at Villa Park in an Aston Villa shirt. Back to the edge of the area. So if you've just switched on, Villa are winning 4-1, winning handsomely now after the goals that they scored through Maatsen, the Dan Burn own goal, and Onana's very good finish in the second half. So 4-1 it is. Plenty to talk about on 606, on 08 085 909 693 as Villa bring it forward. and winning a free kick as Ramsey is challenged, goes sprawling down to the ground, and it's a free kick to Villa, 10 yards inside the Newcastle half.
I mean, it's an absolute pleasure if you're a Villa player just now. Every single player wants the ball. There's lots of space. There's flicks and tricks going on as well. You feel as if there's more chances that can be provided there, and Rashford tried to make an early run there. If you're Newcastle, you just don't want anyone to get injured just now. You've got an incredibly important run on here. You do not want anyone to get injured or suspended.
Yes, this is tightening things up in the race for the Champions League positions. I can tell you on Sports Extra, Max Verstappen has just confirmed that he will start on pole position for the Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, and he took pole from Oscar Piastri by 0.01 seconds. Doesn't get much finer than that.
It's incredible.
4-1 to Villa as Martinez clears the ball to Tielemans, who heads it on. Ball bounces off target, Burns under pressure. Rashford's dispossessed him, plays it infield to Marlon, and Pope's able to slide out at the feet of the Dutchman and claim the ball and prevent a fifth goal for Villa.
Oh, well done, Marcus Rashford, really chasing everything down there. Selfless as well, plays the ball in, but he probably put a little bit too much on it, and sometimes if you come on late in the game, you've got not that much time to warm up to the pace of the game, but he battled there, won the ball back, just a little bit heavy touch through, but there's nothing wrong with that. He tried to do the right thing.
So 4-1 it is. Gordon turns Cash and then sets off over the halfway line, plays the ball down the left wing for Tonali as Wilson waits in the middle. Callum Wilson, Tonali takes it to the dead ball line, and then Konza tumbles across and blocks the attempted cutback from Tonali for a corner.
It's worth underlining just now, we've not spoken a huge amount about Konza and Mings. They've been really super tonight.
Yeah, no Pau Torres today.
Yeah, no, but they've cruised through it, haven't they? I mean, Mings in particular, he's done a little dummies and tricks and things, but when he's been asked to go and mark and close people out of the game, he's done it effortlessly. He's been superb.
Gordon with the corner then for Newcastle. Gordon right-footed, very deep one, looking for Byrne, but it's bounced over everyone and bounces away, and Bruno Guimaraes can't keep it in, and it's a goal kick to Aston Villa. What about next week and all right, yes, I know Villa have got to play at Manchester City on Tuesday night. How are they going to play it against Crystal Palace in terms of Watkins, Ramsey, Asensio, Rodgers, McGinn?
Do you know what, manager? Great problem to have. Absolutely love having that. You kind of look at who you're playing against. You're playing against a team that will play with a back three, which will adapt some of your thinking as well. So that's going to be something. I struggle to leave Watkins out at the moment. I think you almost start, right, he's up front. He was flying today. He was causing all sorts of things. He's a one-man forward line today. And he kept everybody under massive pressure. He could have and probably should have had a hat-trick. He's just so unlucky. And then you work around that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very, very similar starting lineup to the one we've seen today.
Yes. But as I say, we'll have to see what happens in the Premier League against Manchester City on Tuesday night. But he'll have a plan, I'm sure. Unai Emery, as Bruno Guimaraes gives it to Livramento, who's now at right back with Target having come onto the field, and he's tugged back, and that's a yellow card. It's shown to, I think Ramsey pulled him back, and then there was a bit of pushing and shoving as well. Bruno Guimaraes, who's on a yellow card.
It's a moment really of utter madness.
Yeah, I mean,
I just said 2 minutes ago, what you don't want to do is anyone get injured and anyone get a red card. He's on a yellow, he's just gone and shoved him. Now, other players might have just gone to the ground there and rolled about a bit, and he could have been given the referee. Referee's having some serious words with him there. That was really stupid by
He went
Bruno
to get the ball back from Ramsey, and Ramsey sort of tossed the ball away. So Bruno Guimaraes put his hands in his chest, and that could, in other circumstances, that could have been a second yellow and a red card for Bruno Guimaraes. There's only one match this season he's not played in, Bruno Guimaraes, for Newcastle United at some stage, and that was when he was suspended, actually, the first leg of the semi-final against Arsenal. Here is Bruno Guimaraes then, with 90 seconds to play. Aston Villa heading for victory, very important victory. Rashford on the halfway line, ball runs away from Tielemans, and then Kraft is able to chip it forward for Wilson, who got it down and then wins a throw-in for his team off Maatsen.
Can I underline one thing about Bruno Guimaraes? It was really silly. He almost gets sent off there. On the other side of it, he cares, doesn't he? He really cares about this. You're 4-1 down. He's not strolling through the game. He's upset, he's angry, he's chasing, he's closing down. He's not had the best of games in a while, but you wouldn't argue against his effort and his passion.
So Newcastle vainly continue to try and come forward. Unai Emery, he'll be a lot happier after this than he was at the end of the match on Tuesday night, that's for certain. Willock giving the ball to Gordon, slips it forward now for the cross from the left-hand side from Targett, taken down by Joe Linton. Maatsen just got a little of something on that. Joe Linton back to Bruno Guimaraes, then to Tonali in the D. Tonali back to Gordon. He's got claret and blue in mass numbers in front of him. So plays it square to Bruno Guimaraes, trying to find a way through. Livramento gets it back and then blazes it to the ironic cheers of the Aston Villa supporters. And it is a goal kick, and Villa continue to lead by 4-1. We're in the 90th minute now. Villa's goal scorers, Watkins, Maatsen, the Burn-own goal, Onana, with Cher having equalised in the first half. And Ollie Watkins, as I say, could have had a hat-trick in the first half. 6 minutes of added time. Ollie Watkins, who also this week featured on Tony Livesey's Floodlit Fact of the Day, thanks to his mother, who goes by the stage name of Ruby Washington and sings in a band called Superstition.
Okay.
And actually, Tony played me some of her singing, and she was not half bad either. Talented family, clearly. As Konza comes across, but Willock gets there first and takes the ball down into the full-back position. Maatsen is able to block it away as a flock of seagulls is blown across the top of Villa Park. Ball comes into Wilson on the edge of the area, shouts for handball. Tonali back to Targett. Gordon. Newcastle still going here, but at 4-1 down, the game is up. Gordon playing it in, but headed away by Konza. Comes out to Rashford. Lovely touch from Rashford to take it away from Kraft. He's got a great deal to do. Rashford with his black gloves on carries the ball out towards the left-hand side, then begins to cut back in field, and Kraft just stands up and blocks him and puts the tackle in. But Rashford back in possession again. He's excellent in the second half, Rashford, for Aston Villa. And again, that's the sort of free running that the Villa supporters have enjoyed watching from him.
They have, and they've enjoyed his attitude as well. I mean, that was questioned where a lot of people in the team at United for various points. However, this time and every time he's put out that Aston Villa strip on, his attitude has been perfect, whether he started, whether he's come on. It's been a real eye-opener, but it's such a relief as well to see him just looking happier in himself.
Yeah, and as Ross Barkley is able to stretch, Villa have won it back in the Newcastle defensive third. Barkley, Villa's number 6, turns, finds Marlon on the edge of the box. Marlon tries to get the shot in, which he does, but it runs across the face of Pope and wide of the foot of the post. So 2 minutes of added time. 6:06, not far away. 08 085 909 693 is the number to ring to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Not sure if we've mentioned it, but an extraordinary win for Barcelona today in La Liga. They were 3-1 down. Borja Iglesias had scored a hat-trick for Celta Vigo, but Barcelona, the league leaders in Spain, came back and won it with a penalty in the 8th minute of added time from Rafinha. So won 4-3 in the end and have a 7-point lead over Real Madrid. Here's Tielemans passing the ball forward for Rashford. Rashford's onto this, he got there ahead of Targett. Still in a wide position though, takes the ball out into the full-back position. Then Rashford just allows the ball to come to a stop and then stabs it to Barkley, who shoots across goal, and Pope had to save that. Flung a right hand at it. I think it was probably going in, and he pushed it away across goal and out, I think, for a throw.
But once again, you listen to those supporters up at the whole end, you know, the effort, the work rate from Rashford, takes the ball out wide there, selfless. He's working so hard there. No one had gone up near him, so he had to hold the ball up well. And those fans loved that effort and what he put in there, and they just applauded him.
In the Super League, Catalan 22, Salford 0 is the latest score. And it also finished Dragons 23, Scarlets 31 in the United Rugby Championship. Saracens 36, Gloucester 14 is the latest score in the Premiership. Right, Aston Villa with Cash, who has his legs taken away from him by Willett. So another set piece and a free kick to Villa on the right wing. Jason Tindall turns away with his hands in his pockets. It's been plain sailing for him in the absence of Eddie Howe, who's obviously, his health is obviously the priority and getting himself back to full fitness. But Newcastle have been well beaten, really. Even when they were even Stevens in the first half, Villa were the better team, Pat.
Yeah, I don't think they'll over panic about it though, Newcastle, and neither should they. You know, it's a good team away from home. They've had a quieter day than they've had recently. You have some of those days at the office. You make sure that the next one's a good one. They're in a very, very good position in the league, considering the run that they've gone on lately. And I think other teams have been more worried.
That sums it up, really. Bruno Guimarães' pass forward was way beyond Livramento, through the inside right position and through for a goal kick. And I make it. We've got about a minute left of added time, Pat.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about what other fans will be thinking about this just now. I don't think Chelsea fans will be too delighted with the league table looks just now. They're down to 7th and Villa 3 points ahead of them, so they can't have any slip-ups tomorrow.
Yeah, when all is not well, it would seem, despite winning through the European semi-final. Chelsea at Craven Cottage tomorrow.
Not an easy place for Chelsea to go. And also, if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, there is a concern there as well, because they have been drawn in, haven't they? They've been reeled in by the big beasts.
Yes, Manchester City ahead of them now. Nottingham Forest. Well, Newcastle 59 points, Manchester City 58, Forest 57, Villa 57, and then Chelsea on 54 with these scorelines. Marlon now chesting it down into the area, but Byrne was able to dispossess him of the ball. But Marlon races back out towards the far side, but Joe Linton has got the ball at his feet. Joe Linton, he's been quiet. I mean, the Newcastle midfield, Joe Linton, Bruno Guimarães, Tonali, they've not reached that very high standards that they have had recently.
Just outplayed, simple as that.
And there is the final whistle here at Villa Park. And Unai Emery shakes hands with Jason Tindall and then walks away along the touchline. It's a smile on the face of the Aston Villa manager today. Clenched fists, clapping along with the Villa fans. Hi-ho Aston Villa, and hi-ho back right into the thick of the chase for a Champions League place.
I think at one point he said, before the build-up of this game, this is our most important game of the season. And it sounds like hyperbole, but really the season keeps on going now. You've got a brilliant chance to get the top 5. You're actually flying, making all those changes, and did not weaken in the slightest, and almost looked stronger when they made those changes, the likes of Banana, etc. going on. Don't know if any other team can do that to that level other than Liverpool at the moment. The fans are looking at this thinking, was it going to fade after that game against PSG? They had to ask that question. It was a consideration. Absolutely no chance. They looked brilliant today. There was a bit of a fade from Newcastle, but hey, they've been on a brilliant run. Not time to panic. Well, not yet anyway.
No, I suppose for Newcastle, this point was going to come at some point. Named the same team again. I would imagine Newcastle fans on 606 might debate whether he should have made a couple of changes, but spirits are high here at Villa Park as the Newcastle players go to their supporters. So 606 coming up very shortly, but the World Snooker Championship is well into its first day now, and Jamie Broughton is watching at the Crucible.
And Neil Robertson, John, the 2010 world champion, is in real trouble in his first round match. He trails qualifier Chris Wakeling by 7 frames to 2 after the opening session of play. Wakeling gave it a big fist pump when he took the last frame of the day. They'll play to a finish tomorrow. And tonight, the defending champion, Karen Wilson, has just resumed 6-3 up against Li Pei Fan. 10 is the target for victory.
Thank you, Jamie. And obviously coverage continues throughout the fortnight on BBC Television and via the website and app. Amadou Onana, who scored the 4th goal, has gone and celebrated as he does with the Villa fans in the Holt End. I can tell you in the Premiership, in the Rugby Union, Saracens have beaten Gloucester by 36 points to 14. And in the United Rugby Championship, it's finished Dragons 23, Scarlets 31, and the latest in the Super League, Catalan 32, Salford 0. So, Pat Nevin, thank you very much for your company. Which team are you doing tomorrow in the Great Football Songbook? Can you remember in Colin Murray's programme, 10:30 tomorrow?
I would love to be able to tell you, but I am sworn to secrecy by Mr. Murray, the other Mr. Murray.
Yes, the Patrick Keelty was asking me this morning whether Hi-Ho Aston Villa or Hi-Ho Wolverhampton, which team it was who came up with it first. And I'm sure at some point you will answer that question.
Well, Villa don't use that one as their song, so we've already done the Villa one.
Thank you very much. So listen out for that in the morning with Colin Murray. Weekend breakfast with Gordon Smart and Jeanette Quatchy from 7 o'clock. We'll also preview all of tomorrow's sport. More Premier League commentaries to come tomorrow afternoon. All 4 of the matches you'll be able to hear from us here at BBC Radio. Ipswich Arsenal on 5 Live, Manchester United Wolves on Sports Extra, Fulham Chelsea via the BBC Sport website and app. They all kick off at 2 o'clock. Leicester City against Liverpool on 5 Live at 4:30. But all of the top sport covered in 5 Live with Steve Crossman from 12 o'clock tomorrow. That's it from us here at Villa Park. Aston Villa winning well against Newcastle by 4 goals to 1. 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 606, which follows the news on 5 Live with John Barnes.